This is The Gauge with host Chance Conradu.
Are you freaking serious? It's Conrado. This is part 2 of the Royalty ID episode where Catfish gets into his backstory a little bit and they have a little back and forth. We think you guys will really enjoy the completion of the series. Catfish, I know it's going to be hard to follow that.
For sure, but I'm used to it,
yep.
Especially being around, a guy like that every day. He's going to constantly keep you grounded and just keep you in the right frame of mind, and it's not like it's coming from somewhere that's even a 45-year-old or something. I'm 26. He's a few years older than me, and, it's nice. I don't have, I'm still in the middle of my story for sure. It's just began, but, I never had the opportunity to meet my biological father. I mean, he was around at an early age, but I don't have a lot of memories of him, just light stuff. He around 6 years old is when I met who I would call my father, Jerry Brown. He's not my biological father, but like I said, I never had the chance to meet him, and there was nobody on my mother's side or any of that side of the family that rodeoed. That was the first time I remember going out to meet him. They've been dating a little while, and that was the first time I got to be on a horse. And we went to a practice pen, and he was roping. I warmed one up, but that was the end of it. You couldn't get me off of one, and to this day, I'm thankful every day for the people and the relationships that I've been able to establish through rodeo. And and when I think about it from that point of view, to be at the level that I get to be at, competing against the professionals and on at the top level, I'm just so thankful for it. That part of my life is very important because I'm mixed. My dad, he's African American. Mom, white. My stepdad, he's white, and there was really no reason for him to step into my life and do a lot of the things that he did, as far as opportunity wise. And he was never it was his first time being a father, so I mean he went through everything that a regular father would with a son. That he adopted me. My name changed. Full ownership, and I just, it was an amazing thing. But my mom, she was a coach, so, she definitely instilled all the things that you can ask for whenever it comes to being around children and stuff. I definitely got her to thank for a lot of the lessons I've learned, but they were both hardworking people. From the outside looking in, I didn't come from South Texas. I grew up north of Fort Worth, the Denton area, and a lot of people in our industry, not a lot of them know my backstory, down to the details. But from the outside looking in, a lot of times it looks pretty just because there was a structure there enough to show that much. But at the same time, I was constantly seeking acceptance. I was a lot of times an outsider in rodeo just because of, I didn't have, my dad roped, but that wasn't his profession. He was in construction. My mom was a coach. Whenever we went to the rodeo on the weekend, that was, it was a hobby almost, and it definitely grew into a job over time. But I would definitely say that it was just where we found joy, and it wasn't expected. I was doing other things. I was always balancing different things. I originally started with baseball at the beginning. That was where my passion was. My grandpa was a baseball guy. Multiple family members that played baseball, college baseball, A&M, different things. Just a family of athletes. So the expectations and standards were high on that side. But, definitely no, in the rodeo world, no just respecting the name as far as, having back numbers, as grandpas, none of that stuff. So every day I'm just thankful to get the opportunity to be around guys like this. But I think that the work ethic that I established doing those other things early on definitely is what it did. Is it attracted, I don't have any NFR qualifications. Through the levels growing up, I always reached the goals and established myself as far as, just being accomplished. But I would say that, one of the biggest things I'm thankful for is just the work ethic, being contagious. It allowed me to be around guys like that I have the opportunity to be around now, and it attracted me. Those things attract. So that's definitely what I would say contributed to where I am now. And I definitely feel like the sky's the limit going forward. But I really, I got the chance to be around Solomon when I was a rookie. I went to college and decided I went to college at Vernon, Texas. I went for a semester. Came home, just decided that really wasn't where I wanted to be. I grew up closer to the city. There was always things to do besides rodeo. I was dedicated in the arena, but once we were done there was always something to do in town or, friends around. You could go do something simple. I got out there. It was a good time. We roped, did a lot of things, got to be around a lot of new people. That was actually when I got to be around Solomon personally, and I'd always known him beforehand. But that was definitely when we started to build a relationship. And, I came home. I decided that was what I wanted to do for, career choice wise. Came home, set my mind to pro rodeo in the next year. I'm 20 years old, and called Solomon up. It's getting close to time to enter Fort Worth. And I say, hey, I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. I don't have any family members that pro rodeo or anything like that. There's really no guidance there. Everything's just been me and my dad and the close people that have been around going forward. But, he said, hey, I'm just a phone call away whenever you need me. So, through the winter, I had help with entering as far as just where I needed to be. There's not a whole, when you can't get in the buildings, there's only so many places you can go. So that's where I started out. No Denver, none of that stuff. Went to Fort Worth, and I know I went and knocked a couple down, made the short round, ended up placing in the average, maybe won 7,000 or 8,000. And I remember calling up my buddy, and I said, and at that time at Fort Worth, 30 on 3 got you paid a lot. The calves were big. It was a different place. And I called my buddies. I said, man, I just won 7,500 at one rodeo. I said, and I got, at that time you could count 75. I said, I got like 70 more of these things. I can do this. And they, it was just, I was super excited at the time, not knowing what was in store ahead. No kind of blueprint laid in front of me as far as what kind of obstacles I was going to have to, go through horse-wise, just being on the road for that long. It was always going and coming home, being able to prepare just over short periods of time. But I definitely know that my parents, they definitely gave me the best opportunity as far as exposing me. I had tons of exposure. Got to be around some of the best guys in the business. Horseman C.R. Bradley lives across town from where I live. I went and worked with him for 2 years as a sophomore and junior in high school. And, the long-term relationships my dad had with friends of his that, and going into that, one of his longest friends, Art Hop from Oregon, he was always, had a huge passion for roping and horsemanship. He had a nice horse that was a little bitty, 14-1, probably weighed maybe 900 pounds. And, but just as big a heart as you could ask for. And at that time, I'd been riding stuff through high school that I was just getting along on. And stuff that knew me very well. Sometimes it's hard to get around. Horses are smart at that age. You show them different things and they start anticipating. Sometimes they're not the easiest to win on. And he said, I'll let you ride my mare. We'll just, I'll just leave her here this year, because he would come down and stay every few months. And I said, okay. So I started riding her, and she got me. I got to ride her a full year. That's what I went on to win the Rookie of the Year on. That was 2014. But I remember, before the summer, I got the sports news, and I'm looking through, your July rodeos, and I'm trying to figure out, what this even looks like. It looks like Chinese to me. So I'm calling Corey every day. After about the third day, I say, man, can I just rodeo with you? And he says, well, and at that time he'd already made plans with Fred Whitfield. And, Fred he's a guy I grew up watching on TV, riding my stick horse across the living room, talking about, yes, sir, raising the roof. And I mean, it was, something, a guy that I related to at the time. And I mean, I didn't know anything about him. I mean, I've been around a lot of other guys a lot more than him, just because, I mean, you didn't see Fred out a lot. He wasn't out in the crowd, doing a whole lot whenever I was little. So this was a first for me. Corey said, I'll give him a call and see what he says. He calls me back. He says, yeah. Fred said he didn't have a problem. He said, they're just, he said, just remember who you're with. There's no bullshit, that's just how it's going to be.
Yep.
And I said, that I just jumped at that. That was all I needed to hear, that was no problem. I'm down there a week later, and they were doing some extra things between Canada and stuff that year that I wasn't doing. I had one good horse. Then my grandpa gave me to go on, and I said, well, I'll stay in the rig that stays, south of the border, and y'all can do y'all's flying around, and I'll just, help take care of the horses and stay in this rig. Yeah, so right around that time, Corey and Fred, they were already in Canada. We started out our summer run at Pleasant Grove, Utah. I remember they flew in there, and that was the first time I really got to be around Fred much. There'd been a few times that he pulled me to the side, coming up and was like, hey, I see a lot of good things, and you stay focused, that type of deal, just quick and easy. But at this time, nothing like living together or eating together and doing all that stuff. So, I mean, I wake up in Pleasant Grove. I'd never even been this far from home, never run any kind of calves out this way. I mean, nothing. I mean, this is everything new. I woke up, peek outside, you see some snow caps on the mountains. I mean, it's a different place. But Corey and Fred had flown in at about 5. They got in about 5, and I woke up. The slack was at it was early, 7:30, 8 o'clock slack, but I peek outside about 6:30. Fred's horse is already saddled. He's standing outside. I remember, hey, cuz, if we're competing at 9, I'm gonna be ready at 7. These horses, they got to be locked in, dude. And I mean, I'll never remember from that moment on. I mean, I hopped out of bed. I went for a jog because I'd been working out at that time, and I was already in a little routine. And I went ahead and I said, okay, well, that's how it is. I mean, we can get going. And I took off running. I took a lap around the stadium there, and I got back. He come peeking around the trailer. Did you just get done running? And I mean, like, I wanted him to take me serious at the time. That was like my point, my time to make a statement, because when someone doesn't know anything about you, that's the most important time. And that's your moment to control the narrative. But that day, the first round, I tied 1 and 8 flat, and won the first round. And that was the start of the summer run. But what were you saying, Corey?
Oh, so a goal of mine was, like I said, when I started rodeoing in 2009, I didn't have any guidance. Didn't know which rodeo to go to, or how to even enter it. Well, each guy that comes along, you see, like, that's pretty successful, the Tough Coopers and whoever, the first year at least, they're under somebody's wing. Only thing's different is being out of state. They can focus on just rodeoing. They don't have to worry about booking flights and which rodeo to go when, which rig going here. All that comes before roping. It comes last, or whatever event you're in. So I didn't have any of that. So a goal of mine was to take one rookie a year. That was my goal in my heart, and that's how Catfish and I crossed paths. But I took Clinton Nygaard his rookie year, and another buddy of mine's named Tweety McBride. And I'll tell you, this was another big, hill for me to drive over. Tweety went rodeoing with me, and I treated him like he was my brother. He didn't have a rig. It was Sterling Smith and I and Tweety. We took him in. He was a good traveling partner. My rig was one. Sterling Smith rig was rig two. I done everything for him that summer. I mean, I booked his flights, entered him at every rodeo, let him use my saddle because I wanted what was mine is yours. The few guys that's in your truck, that's who you with, So I done everything. And we had been rodeoing. He was just a rookie, winning a little bit, and we get to Cheyenne. That's like the breaking point. Guys start going home at Cheyenne, and I said, hey, if you want to go home, I'll slow down on ending you. And, and I'm the kind of guy, I don't talk to people in front of anybody. It's always private. I'm a very private guy because I wouldn't want anybody talking to me in front of anybody else. I'm never going to try to embarrass anybody because to me it's no different than a rookie and Trevor Brazile. I know guys that can beat Trevor Brazile any day. So to me, we're all just people. So I treat everybody the same. And anyway, for about 2 weeks, he was looking for a ride home, never found the ride home. Make a long story short, I found him a ride home. Well, in Cheyenne, the top 40 guys, I believe, go straight to the perf. So I wasn't in Cheyenne. So I get him to Cheyenne and the ride. He was with Sterling, and his ride was already there. Well, the deal was, if he just get his stuff out, call the ride, I got him, which I saved him. We live in 45 minutes from Houston to Cheyenne. It ain't close for fuel and paying somebody to bring your rig. So I saved him all that. All he had to do was get his stuff and put it in the rig, which was Joe Keating was going home for a little bit. So I done all that. I mean, it's a lot of work rodeoing, taking care of yourself and somebody else. So when he gets home, I was already in Nampa. So Sterling was like, hey, I got to get going. I got to drive 8 hours. Slacks in 10 hours, by himself. So he was like, Tweety, I'm going to leave you right here. Just put your stuff in and get in this other rig. The story was back home was Corey put Tweety out in Cheyenne. And I had done everything, you know what I mean, that summer, trying to help because I didn't have help in that area. And that was the last summer I done it. I was like, if I'm going to pour my heart out and help somebody, you know what I mean? He left. Everything was mine was his, from horse medicine. That stuff ain't cheap,
Oh, yeah, I'm a first-hand witness to how it is with you. And, because that's how it was from the get-go. And you took me right under your wing that year. And we went on and went to a lot of rodeos through June and July. I remember later on in the summer, there's kind of a breaking point. I think that year there was Wrangler challenges and different things like that. But it's not easy to – if you're past a certain point in the standings, I was, always right in there in the top 40, right there around that 40 bubble. But if you're in the top 15, they kind of start separating. They would kind of start separating you at rodeos to where you would have to be going at different times. So I went ahead and got my rig out there later on in the summer. But I was and by the time we got to the Northwest is around a month, 2 month long to the end of the year, right in there somewhere. But I was with Rowdy Hafferkamp, and he's another a young guy that I actually just went to high school with, same age as me. It was his first year, and I've been in second in the Resist All rookie standings all year. After the Fort Worth, I was first for a month, and then here comes this guy, named Marcus Costa, first year in America. He couldn't hardly speak fluent English. He had everywhere he went with him. He had Strand Smith. But a machine, from the gym to everything he did.
He's a monster still.
He was a few years older than me. The maturity level was high, and the dedication, all that stuff, was high. And later on in the year, as the year dwindled down, I mean, it was easy to get. I mean, he was riding a $100,000 horse. Every time he backed in the corner, I mean, he had gold buckles around. Telling him he's out or what the start is. And I mean, I'm sitting there just as a kid with nobody. Like,
Yes,
but the only thing I knew was that the people that cared about me enough to make sure, that I was in a position to do what I loved and have a chance to do what I loved, those people believed in me. And those were the people that I kind of fell back on those late night drives and different things. I mean, I remember I was in the Northwest. I'd got in San Juan, Capistrano. And at that time, I just really couldn't. In my mind, mentally, I didn't feel like I could hop on a plane and ride horses that I didn't always, I'd never rode before. No matter how good they are, some of the most high-powered horses aren't the easiest ones to ride. I mean, it takes time to get the timing. I mean, there's a lot of timing that goes into our sport, all that stuff. So I get in San Juan at the end of the year. It's top 30. I'm in the bubble. I'm like 29th, slide in there, and I'm supposed to be driving down there. And I come across the bridge in Salt Lake City. It's probably 2:00 in the morning, and my bearings catch on fire. Just a typical rookie move. I mean, probably hadn't checked my bearings like I was supposed to or something like that. Just stuff that I learned from Solomon down the road. Hey, dude, you got to check your bearings. You got to get a pack. I mean, just stuff like that. He'll never let you, if there's a learning moment, he's going to make sure that, this is the learning moment. Like you can now, soak this in because you don't want to learn this twice. And, but at that moment, I mean, I had to go, buy a flight that cost a fortune, fly out of there. And the next day I land at San Juan at 11 or 12. I mean, Ubers cost a fortune, everything just to get around. And luckily Marty Yates lets me on his horse. We grew up roping together from high school rodeo. We were always in the same region, everything. And that was that year he had Chicken Horse of the Year, my rookie year, his first NFR qualification. But anyways, just going forward and then talking about, Solomon earlier, he kind of hit on, having guys that you grew up with that you were just as good as or just competed with and constantly were just pushing each other. Those guys, and some of those guys go on and have success. In our sport, it's crucial to be able to step back and handle it the right way and, handle everything in the most positive way possible. Because, that's the only way. It's about the response. It's not always about the results, And so the next year I got in the buildings. I didn't, it came down, rookie year came down to the very last rodeo. I'm 2,200 behind, literally. The season ends the 30th. I got up in the last perf at Stephenville, Texas on the 29th. And that was a Sunday afternoon. There wasn't another PRCA going on in the country to end the year. I'm 22 behind Marcus Costa. He's done rodeoing. He's went to Dodge City, do different places. The last of the last, and 8 or 10 guys get in the perf. You got Cody O, hometown cowboy, giving away a rifle to the champion in that event that day. Everyone's getting trades to the last perf. I mean, it's like an NFR stack perf, sold out crowd. And, I mean, I just draw a medium calf down I don't even think she had a good record at all. But at this point, it was like every time that my back got just backed up against the wall, I would just think about why I was there, what I went through to get there, the late nights, how long it'd been, how much has been invested, not just money but time, and effort and try.
Yes, sir.
Once you get so far, the further you get, the easier it should be your mind's made up, head down, moving forward. And at that moment, I mean, I just cut loose, went out there. I was like 7-7, won the rodeo, 140, 100, and ended up winning the rookie. I mean, that day, and that was an accomplishment, a huge accomplishment that's kept me hungry to this point. But, going on into the next year, talking about struggles, I had that one horse. She was small, like I said earlier. She started, battling a few bad habits, and like Corey emphasized on the horsepower. I mean, in our sport, it's a constant factor. I mean, you're never not striving or not pushing, and I mean, they're not 100%. They're not robotic, so there's so many things to it. But anyways, I get into all the buildings, so I'm thinking this is my year. You know, the past few years, your rookie of the years have they've kind of, there was a few years there where they really established a large, a strong, vibe for going ahead and doing something with it, And so the next year, I mean, I'm gung ho. I get in Houston, all these different things, and I go on, and it's probably, I get to Reno, and I've got maybe 3,000 or 4,000 won, and then I get in, I make the short round at Reno. And that year, for some reason, we're roping dairy calves at Reno they weigh 280 or 300. I mean, right under the max. And I'm one of the flankingest guys in the business in my mind. And I mean, I run one out there and get the perfect go, and she hangs her leg behind me. And I'm like 6 tie call. All you got to do is flank one, and you're gonna win a ton. Set your whole summer up before the 4th of July. Everything. I hang her leg. Have to go back and end up winning last hole in the average. Not hardly winning much to speak about, and going on from there and just going through horse battles through the 4th of July. And I remember at the end of July, I definitely owed the PRCA 3,000 or 4,000, and it was too much to go on. There was no more entering at that point. I went home and started working and just doing what it took to pay the bills. I learned how to horseshoe over the next year. I learned working under another guy, farrier, made the amateur finals. The amateur rodeos, the UPRAs in North Texas are a big thing, and they're continuing to do a good job for those people right around there in the local areas that are working and trying to, that still have a passion for it, or young guys coming up. I mean, I'm telling you, it's the breeding grounds for some of the toughest guys, and so it's easy if you do get locked, if you do get kind of locked into that mode for a period of time, it's easy to kind of keep your head up where you know what's going on. You can't get lost in, being mediocre, because they're still not going to pay you for that. And so I went on and made that a focus the next year or two, and was, farrier and learning a lot about that. But, it's hard work, and the more I did it, there was days I would go make 600 in a day cash, no problem. But I didn't want to go home and rope. I didn't want to go home and spend time with my horses like I would have if I was doing something else, or if that was the main focus, And I'm a huge energy guy. So, and I think it was a big spotlight for me. And once that started, the passion started fading, I had to step away from it immediately. Went and fell right back into it. That's whenever the day I knew that, no matter what happens, no matter how high the highs are, low the lows are, this is what I want to do, as long as I can do it at the top level, and I'll give it everything I got. And so once you've gone to those places, it's easy to, you just got to remind yourself that while you're here, you'll do whatever it takes. So that's where we are today. And like last year, I always wanted to do everything myself, coming up, without having my biological father a part of my life. I think there was a certain thing in the back of my mind. I mean, my mom was great to me. I mean, my stepdad stepped into my life, provided me with everything that I could ask for. But at the same time, you still have this, you need to prove that you need to prove your worth, or you know what I mean, like, because I mean, he's healthy out there somewhere, I mean, he's kicking it. So I mean, in your mind, why is that? Because in my mind, if I have a child, boy or girl, I mean, I'm gonna be, no matter what type of person that I think I might be, I need to be a part of their life. That's just, I mean, I want to see who they are, who they turn out to be, whatever it might be. But it's going to be hard to keep me away from them. So, I think that kind of gave me that little chip, like you were talking. I mean, and I think that it wasn't noticeable. It just kind of showed through sports and different things where I was always striving. It gave me that hunger that you don't really think about. You just, like, why does this guy want to be so good? Like, where's that motor come from? And it's just like, if I don't reach that certain standard, I mean, I'm not satisfied. And that's just how it is. And I think that was something I didn't realize till later on. So you gotta and it can be unhealthy, and it can be, if you don't understand it, So I think as I've gotten older, I mean, I've understood how to, handle things in the right way and make sure that I use it in a productive way. But that's definitely, I would say, a huge part in just keeping my mindset where it is. And because, I mean, I'm 26. Like I said, I haven't made the finals or anything, but I had to learn that I didn't want any help. I mean, I wanted to do everything myself. I mean, I wanted to prove. I was out to prove I could do it, but somewhere along the way, it was like, okay, so you put in the work and you put in the time, and these people want to help you, but you got to be open to it.
Exactly.
You got to be open to it no matter where they are. It doesn't matter who they are. They can be a billionaire, or they can be wanting to give you the shirt off their back. But, I mean, all of it's of equal value, and, I mean, if they believe in you and what you're doing and what you care about, then you got to let them. Sometimes, if you trust in them, once you learn about a person, and where they're coming from, you got to be able to let them have a hand on what you're doing, because if they can compliment you in any way, in that way, and just do your best part to turn it around and make sure that you take care of them or whatever. But, last year I reached out to a guy that had always been, kind of just a part of, he loved watching me do what I did, and I rode a few of his horses at some Wednesday night jackpots and stuff, and he's always been around, just a big fan of the game, the people that really make sports what they are. And I reached out to him and said, I don't have the money to go, but what I do have is, the heart to do it. And, I mean, I'll do whatever it takes. And do you think you could help me? And he said, what do you need? And that was all, and at that point I said, wow, he didn't ask anything else. That's all he asked. What do you need? And, I mean, at that point I had a horse I was roping good on at the time. She was working good, but, at our level, it takes a really special one. It takes a lot of everything. And I rode her for a few weeks. I won. We were at the amateur level, and then she got hurt. And I said, well, I got to have something else to ride. And he said, okay. That's all he said. He's not a question guy. He's just once he's on your team, you just tell him what it is, and when you're, 100%, then it's just, how do we get it done? And so about 3 days later, he texts me, hey, I'm going to go try this horse. I said, okay. And then 10 o'clock that night, he shows up in my house. He's got this horse, 7-year-old, got a trailer full of calves. It's 10 o'clock at night. He calls me, hey, I'm coming through. I come out there in my boxers. Got my house shoes on. We unload these calves, and I'm just thinking, man, like, I hope this works out. I mean, it's 10 o'clock, and, I mean, I know what he just drove all over the country, and, I mean, I hope this works out, And honestly, the first rodeo I went to, it didn't go good. It didn't go good at all. But my dad, I was lucky enough to have my dad with me at the time. And that's another, having those people around you, the right people. And, I mean, that's my stepdad, not my real dad. There's no obligation there, I mean, he chose to be there, but I mean, just the best kind of people you could ask for, And, I mean, I've been around Corey's family, Corey's parents, the best people you could possibly ask to be around, Big L.
Yes.
All those people, I mean, they've always looked you in. They're gonna look you in the eye and believe in you. You know what I mean? And it's not because they see what you can do. It's just because they see how much you care about. When you got enough heart into something, the sky's the limit.
Yes, sir.
Especially when you add support. But so my dad said, stay hooked. He said, stay hooked. There's a lot of things this horse does good that are gonna, he's got a chance. And as far as your man goes, he stuck his neck out for you. So, I mean, you can't be soft.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you make sure you do everything you possibly can before you back off. And so that's what we did. It was summertime. We went to work every day. He brought the set of calves, and, I mean, we went to work, and week by week it just got better. And, the horse, everyone spotlights the horse and stuff, and what he did for me this winter. he let me go on and win 30,000 in the standings, and I mean probably. But if you counted unofficial and everything, I mean you're probably talking more about 60 or 70 within 7 or 8 months, and just going everywhere I could possibly go. And we're talking about a 7-year-old. But the thing is, like I told his owner, it wasn't about the horse for me, and it will never be about the horse. It was about the time and the moment, where he stepped in, to my life, and just gave me this, the confidence to believe in myself with no obligation. It was just another example.
It was a chip off your shoulder in
For
a
sure.
good way.
Yeah, for sure. And just, he has no reason. But the thing is, he saw how much time I put into it, how much dedication. Like, this guy's not going to quit. You know what I mean? I can have the faith in him. I can trust in him. I can give him the reins, whatever I think he might need. And I can trust he's not going to hit a wall and stop. He's going to keep on driving. And, I mean, that's all I need to see. So that's really where we got to today, and that's what's allowed, me to be able to have the people around me and the relationships that I have now. And I'm thankful every day. I mean, like Solomon said, there's no waking up and feeling sorry for myself. I know for a fact there's a billion stories worse than mine, and I mean, but if there's one out there that can relate to me, then I mean that's all I can ask for.
100%. Yeah, and we want nothing but the best for you guys. I can tell you, it's the most inspiring thing to get to talk to somebody who's got 6 under him as far as qualifications, who went through that, and then to get to talk to you, Kat, and see that it's not like your journey started yesterday. I mean, you've been at it for a minute.
Yes, sir.
And it's been an up and down road for both of you. Totally different, but you guys are both ending up at the same place,
yes,
where
sir.
you've got like this zen, this peace, this inner peace, and it's just the energy that you guys have. And now with this brand Royal ID, it's just another level.
Definitely.
And for me, I can relate to what you guys are talking about. And from us at the Gauge, we're just like, man, I just want to watch you guys rodeo. I just want to go to more rodeos. Because for me, rodeo, when you stop doing it, and especially when you have a sibling who has been 4 times, who's a badass, who is super popular and famous like my sister is, you get to this point where you kind of don't want to go.
Yeah.
Because there's a weird little jealousy there. Yeah. And but then you get to talk to guys like you who just let all that go, right? And you're just ninjas kind of in a way, where you just, it sounds nerdy and stupid, but you're going and you're doing it almost in a team group. And I don't know, it's just the whole vibe is just really, really cool. And go ahead, Corey.
To do it, for me, that's what's the cool thing about Royalty ID and running your royalty is the thing that I felt like that held Catfish for so long. Like he just said, the chip on his shoulder, not growing up, with his real father, is a story that so many people gonna connect with, right? I had that area with my dad. My dad told me early, look, if you can find a better horse, tie yours to the fence. If you can ride a better one, because they're riding a better one. I learned that by having him. That's the good thing about a team effort. Now, with Royalty ID is it took him a couple more years to figure that out, because he learned that on his own. That's what I don't know if I would have had everything I needed at first, I'd be who I am today, because I probably would have just told a lot of people off, just told them exactly what I felt and rode off, because I didn't need them like a lot of people do. But I had to have every dollar, every thousand that most people don't need. I needed it to go down the road. So that brings me to who I am today, which is what we will leave behind as Royalty ID. And it's a time and a place for everything. People gonna look at this. We'll have the best sponsorship we've ever dreamed of. I've been through all that, spent my money on my land for a horse, and guess what? Just last Friday, I just closed on my first 47 acres. So everything will come back in a circle.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
If we'll, look back. But
cheers to that. Yeah, man.
But like I said, with guys like Catfish and Kenyon, so many people, it's not about us. We just want his story, my story, your story. We just want to change everybody's lives. And like I said, it's not about us. We want to be better. I want nothing better. I'm behind the scenes. It's not. Most people will get it confused. I don't need the spotlight. My dad taught me that he's not a spotlight guy. It would be joy in my heart to see Catfish Brown walk across the stage, get his back number, because hearing his story gonna connect with so many other people, just like mine did and just like anybody else did. And I feel like we can bring rodeo to that platform to be happy to see somebody else succeed. We'd be on a whole nother platform.
I agree. And that's the whole reason that we created this gauge and this platform, is to give guys like you somewhere to say that.
Definitely.
And to bring it up to that level. And the whole royalty ID thing, it's interesting because 12 Gauge Ranch kind of did the same thing, and the Gauge partnered with 12 Gauge Ranch to kind of bring it to that level. But you see that, like Bulldoggers, for instance, sharing the same horse and hazing for each other, that's got to be tough.
They
right?
got to be alone.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's crazy, but what you guys are doing is amazing. I think Catfish, I'm going to call it now, and you're going to be in the NFR. You're going to have a great year, Corey. This might be your year for the World Championship, I think. But if there is one, I mean, who knows what's going on with this NFR? But guys, it's great to have had you here. We're going to have to do another one so that we can have the third amigo here to talk to him and see what he has to say. But I'd like to call it now and say, after the NFR, we do another show.
Perfect.
And
Definitely.
recap what happened this year.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully our predictions came true. But thank you guys so much for
Thanks
taking
for
the
having
time,
us. Yes, sir.
for doing the show. Where can everybody find you guys on social media?
At Corey Solomon 1 is my Instagram, or Royalty ID Official on Instagram, and I have a Corey Solomon Facebook and a Corey Solomon fan page.
Yeah, and Catfish Brown Facebook, and like he said, Royalty ID Official through Instagram and Facebook. Catfish __ Brown on Instagram. Definitely got a recent hacker come through and take my account, so we had to rebuild a little bit, but that's nothing out of the ordinary for guys in our game. I know everyone in every event just used to that kind of stuff. And like I do want to revert back real quick and talk about, like, this morning we got to talk and talking about the next generation, and I just wanted to highlight that we made it a goal to every year to add 20 endorsees to the Royalty ID group. So
20 kids.
Yeah,
20
20
kids.
kids, yep. And we're really looking forward to that, and with the quarantine, we made so much progression through the quarantine that with the quarantine ending soon, we're going to be making a lot of adjustments. There's going to be a lot of adjustments for us because our focus is just being involved with the communities and different things. So definitely look forward to that and be watching out for that. So
I can't wait to see it. Yeah, and anything we can do to help share those things, push them along, we will totally do it.
yes,
Perfect. Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
glad
Thank
Catfish
you.
thought about that. We're going to do, our goal is, like you said, to get 20 kids, and we have our guidelines of what we require, about school and whatever we, believe in. We just want good kids, no matter where you're from, what your background is. We just want to help kids in areas we struggled at, but we just want to help as all, and we want to, get to know their ID. But that's our goal, to start at about 20 kids a year, and
Yep.
if they don't have a horse, we help them, and that's
Just
what
all
we're going
kinds
to
of
start.
stuff. Yeah, they got the junior and FR. We just want to have our hand on all that stuff and be involved as much as we can and as much as they allow us. So just thank y'all. Thanks to the Gauge, and
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us. Thanks to 012 Gauge team, and thank y'all for taking the time with us.
Oh, you bet, guys. Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Thank you.
This has been The Gauge, hosted by me, Chance Conrado, produced and edited by our guy, Ty Yeager. Shout out to the executive producers, Dustin Pointer and Cody Denton. Marketing and content produced by Casey Burke. Our theme song is by Shay Ashshire and the Night Howlers. Make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as follow The Gauge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to The Gauge wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you guys next time.